The reason you're here is because we're going to talk about something that's a little bit spicy, and it's the influencer culture. It's why you, as an artist or a creative, should not be an influencer. 7 reasons why. I'm simply saying, as an artist and creator, there are very, very clear dangers and reasons why you should consider yourself outside of that particular way of looking at your creative life. There are just some things that don't connect the dots between being an influencer and an artist. So we're going to start with this, okay? So we're going to start with the fact that there are different goals for an artist and an influencer. An artist and an influencer have different goals. And at the bottom, you'll see there that that little quote, all artists have influence, but not all influencers are artists. And here's why I'm making that distinction. I said at the beginning, as before I was starting to, start the presentation part of this, that I'm not picking on influencers. Several influencers might be extremely talented, gifted, creative. All of those things are probably even artists in their own right in some way, shape, or form, because that might be even how they started their platform. And then they realize they have even more influence in a certain way. So now they move more into a certain branding, sponsorship type thing where they really focus on that. I'm thinking of a couple of influencers right now that one is a football player, one was a gymnast, and they created this thing around their lives, and they really become like influencers, and it works, right? It works for them. The problem is, again, is the goal has also shifted. If you become an influencer, your goal is no longer simply to make art or simply to create a community. It's also to keep this machine of influence. It is a machine, the influence machine running. It now becomes a goal of yours to create more sponsorships, to create more buzz, to do all these things that influencers need to feed the machine of their career, which, again, nothing wrong with it, but it's not the same goal as an artist. An artist's first goal is to create art that moves, builds, creates, connects people together with something that they believe in terms of their art, not necessarily the brand or the sponsorship. I'm going to talk about this later. This does not mean that artists should not look for sponsorships and brand sponsorships, things like that. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that your initial goal as an artist is not to influence someone to buy things that you buy or to sell things that you sell or anything like that. It is the art itself that is the initial goal, to create it, to present it, to make it special, to bring people into this community who also love it. That is your first goal. So the top goal of an influencer is not the same as the top goal of an artist. Is this making sense? If this is making sense, before I go on to the next point, please give me either a yes in the comments, got it, tracking, yes. Anything like that helps me know that I am on the right page, because number one, I want to make sure that you're getting this. But number two, I want to make sure that this makes sense to you as I'm saying it, because maybe you thought an influencer and an artist were the same thing. But now you're saying, oh, wait, an influencer is building something that an artist or a creative is not necessarily building. So that's the first reason why you should not be considering yourself an influencer if you're an artist, for the very fact that there are different goals. There's simply different goals. All right. Are we tracking? Yes. Donnie says yes. That's all I need. Thank you, brother. And I know, by the way, people have to jump in, jump out. If you watch this at the beginning and you had to jump back out, that's cool. Totally understand that. Nobody can spend an hour at a time usually in the middle of the day directly. But when you do check in, just hit a quick like, hit a quick yes. That helps me know that we're all together and that I'm still streaming, because sometimes you feel like you're disconnected. So, reason number 2 that an artist should not try to become an influencer is because it makes you dependent on algorithms and social media to reach the people that you're trying to reach. Now, this is a sore spot for many of us as creatives, as artists. I hate the fact that even as a musician, I have to keep coming back to talk about social media. As a podcaster, I have to keep talking about social media. As a composer, as a songwriter, I don't want to think about social media all the time, but I have to talk about it as a creative. Just that's the way the world is. But this is even more so the case if you are an influencer. As an influencer, you are dependent on social media strategies, things to reach people, because your whole career depends on the volume of your audience. And the volume of your audience usually comes from social media. So if you are an artist and a creative, but you're saying, oh, I want to influence people, guess what? You've just signed up to be a social media expert. Even more so than if you have to market your branding or your artistry. Okay, and I have some backup on this. Okay, I can't read this unless I blow it up, so give me a second because my eyes will not adjust. Here it is. An influencer is commonly viewed as an individual with an influential, engaged, and large following, at least 1,000 followers on social media. I think for many people that's even bigger. They expect it to be bigger. Their rise to popularity can largely be attributed to the creation of viral social content or notoriety outside of social media through which they acquired a large fan base. Did you see the key that I just wrote down, that I underlined if you're listening? Viral social content. Their rise to popularity is usually because they went viral or they were had notoriety, they were famous outside of social media, and those people followed them onto social media. Do you guys see why this is a totally different thing? If you are in social media, your branding, your influence all connects the dots to those people, and the people that you're trying to influence, they're there. You technically can't influence them outside of those areas. Now, I can talk about social media. I can talk about email, the ways that I think we should be influencing and selling and things, because that's where I go, and podcasts and so on. But if I'm wrong about this, somebody tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, let me go back to Instagram and make sure if anybody's over there commenting. If I'm wrong about this, tell me. Ingrid, perfect. Please, if you come in on this and you can comment, please. I don't think I've seen influencers in things like podcasts and other long form, like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't see influencers in those spaces where there's a lot of room to build relationship deeply with the audience. I see them mostly in the Snapchat, TikTok, give them bite-sized things and keep them coming back for more. But I really don't see influencers in that thoughtful space where you take the time to build an audience, especially through email and things like that. Maybe that can happen where eventually they have that kind of deep relationship. But I see most influencers as those people who need a big following and they can get a lot of people clicking in a hurry. And that, again, is why you might not want to consider yourself an influencer as an artist, because this traps you into doing. Thank you, Ingrid. Yes, she said true. Thank you. Because I was really nervous about going in this direction. And some can be both, she says. If you're watching, I wish I could do my comments on both. But Instagram folks can see her comment. Yes, I said that at the top, that some can be both. But the thing is their object is different, I think. The object of the artist is different than the object of the influencer. And if you're both, you have to kind of change hats, but you know what you're trying to do when you're in that particular lane. And the lane of being a social media influencer is a totally different lane than the lane of being an artist. I think I'm pretty cool with that particular explanation. Yes, thank you, Ingrid. She says over there, if you guys can't see her comment, for those of you on YouTube and Facebook, the ability to communicate for real is not there. And you're taking me right into my next point. Thank you so much. This is perfect. And the third reason why artists should not consider themselves influencers is the audience is loyal to the content, not the influencer. The fact is that if you're trying to be an influencer as an artist, as someone that is creating art for a living, that wants to create, and again, we're being very expansive here, that this includes the performing arts, the visual arts. It includes content creation for those entrepreneurs that are coaches, consultants, freelancers. This includes all of us, okay? But the key definition that we're switching from is my goal is to influence an audience to my goal is to create something that is very strong in terms of what I create. And then it influences people, as we said at the top. All artists are influencers in a way. Every artist has influence. but not all influencers are artists. Okay, that's the key. And Ingrid says over here on Instagram, very true. Being an IG artist doesn't mean you are an artist. She put artist in all caps. Exactly. Okay, so the audience in influencing is very loyal to the content. If you are a makeup influencer, they love makeup and they want to hear what you have to say about makeup. But if you come up on the next week and you start talking about your bird feeding, they are not going to follow you, because they're not following you for bird feeding and they're not following you for your ideas on Shakespeare or poetry or politics. They are following you because you talk about makeup and you give them the content that they are looking for. Artists, creatives, all of us, listen to me clearly. We as artists should continue to nurture the freedom you have to change to different types of things. But because you built a relationship with your audience, they want to follow you on the artistic journey. Let's just talk about some of our folks that we love to death who have been doing totally different things in the few years. Let's talk about Andre 3000, should we? Andre 3000, rapper extraordinaire, legendary rapper. And what did he just put out? Oh, that's right, a flute album. And guess what? It was a best-selling flute album. These people were not loyal to the content, because if they wanted to just rap, they were like sorely disappointed. But many people said, I believe in Andre 3000. I'm going to follow him and I'm going to listen to this meditation, flute, bass flute, whatever, because Andre 3000 is a dope artist. You can't discount that. Let's go some other ones. Let's go to all the legends. Michael Jackson. We had the Motown era. We had the Thriller era. We had the Dangerous era. We had all those times where he reinvented himself. They were loyal to the artist, not just to the content. The content changed radically. Quincy Jones is my patron saint, y'all. Quincy Jones. Some of y'all don't know. Quincy Jones wrote and produced It's My Party and I'll Cry If I Want to. Did y'all know that? Did you know that Quincy Jones was also the person that wrote the music to Austin Powers' Soul Bossa Nova? Very different content. Did you know that Quincy Jones was also the magazine editor of Vibe and helped to get In Living Color off the ground? No, it was Mad TV. I think it was Mad TV that he helped get off the ground. These are people who are artists in their own right, and they create new content that is totally separate from the last person. And now the audience follows them. But if you're an influencer, that's not the case. You change horses, you change streams, they're going to change with somebody else. I love what Lenora say here. Let me see, Lenora, I bring you up. Artistry and influence are two separate careers on their own. Yes, my friend. Number one, Lenora is amazing. You need to go listen to Keep the Music Playing and our little quick. We got to get you on Value for Value on my new podcast, my Keep the Music Playing podcast. Quick aside, sorry. That's my different business. All these different business models I'm running. I'm sorry. That's my new podcast, Keep the Music Playing at .fm. Check that out if you want. But yeah, Lenora, artistry and influencers are two separate careers. Yes, that is so what we're saying here. We're not downing on influencers. We're saying artists. We got to be careful, because I too get envious of the influencers. I get envious and I try to compare myself on social media with, oh, well, I should be doing what they're doing. And I got to remind myself that's not my calling, not my goal. Let's keep going. I love this. Number 4, we talked about 3 reasons why you should not be an influencer if you are an artist. Okay. Number 4, it's all about business and commercial partnerships. Excuse me, my goodness. Again, let's be honest and clear. It doesn't mean that artists, we should not be making business deals and making commercial partnerships. Some of the best art is made because people are willing to sit down with a business person, sit down with a grant writer, sit down with someone and say, how can I benefit you? How can I promote you? All these artists that are creating these cool new TV shows eventually have to sit down with a producer that says, hey, we need to make some money here. How are we going to promote this product? How are we going to get some advertising? Artists, I love the quote by Gustav Holst, which I believe he said, I prefer businessmen to musicians. They are so much more interesting. Because sometimes musicians just want to talk about music and they don't want to talk about life, and business people sometimes can open your eyes to all the other things that you need to deal with in the real life of being a thriving musician and artist and creative. But the distinction is The influencer depends on the artist, the business and the commercial partnership. No partnership, no influence. Why? Because you always have to have something to sell as an influencer. You need to influence some people to do what? To buy something. If you're just influencing them in terms of thought or reasoning or philosophy, that's great, but that's not going to get you paid. Influencers depend on the commercial partnership and the brand deal. Again, does this mean you shouldn't look for that as a creative? No. It just means an influencer has to. As an artist, you are able to diversify to both your partnerships, and you can add on things like your membership, like I have with Guiding Gigs 360 Gold. You can add on other things like the podcast, like I'm doing, as I just mentioned, Keep the Music Playing.fm, which we started during a live stream series during COVID, and it became a community, which now became a podcast, which now eventually will also bring value back in the way that I'm promoting other artists. So it gives you so many other avenues, and I'm sure the influencers will be, oh, well, there's ways we make money too that are different than this. Yes, but you cannot lie that it is really revolving around your ability to create partnerships with other brands as an influencer. As an artist, that's not our style. That's not what we stick with, okay? So just hear my heart on this. If you are an artist, don't rely on business and commercial partnerships. Focus on making art and communities that people will support, and then bring those partnerships into that community. All right, let's keep it moving because I can see it's 1:30 already. I want to make sure there's time for questions and discussion. 5, this one is without saying. Now, reason number 5 that you should not be an influencer if you are an artist is the effect on your mental health. It is all too clear now that social media and influencing has taken a toll on people to the point where, sadly, we've seen some people actually want to take their lives because of the popularity and the desire for perfectionism and all of that, that you present this perfect image on social media, this perfect image for people that you cannot let go. And then you either see people walking away from 6-figure and 7-figure businesses because the pressure is too much. I just heard on a podcast that I was listening to that mentioned that if you are on social media like YouTube and things like that, they love you when you're there, they forget you when you're gone. And it's very clear that if you are using this as your one way of making yourself known is by being an influencer, you're setting yourself up for emotional and spiritual, I might say, problems, because all the focus becomes on you. This does not mean that artists don't deal with the same thing. It just means it's a whole different beast. Artists, we can sometimes lean back on the fact that, well, I'm creating for myself. If nobody watches this, I still want to make art. I still want to sing. I still want to draw. I don't care about the fame. I don't care about that. However, an influencer, once again, must have someone to influence. The art can exist without an audience. An influencer cannot. Your art does have room to live outside of your life. It can grow, it can be its own thing, and you can just do what you want to be and be someone living in the hills of Montana and never be on the internet, and yet make this stuff, and it can go out all over the world, and you don't have to be there. The art stands for itself. The influencer, you have to be there all the time, front and center. You're the face of the brand. You have to be that person. So that is a clear reason why, friends, please don't consider influencing if you are even the slightest bit concerned about your ability to manage your ego, your perfectionism, your desire to be liked, your people pleasing, codependency. Any of those mental issues are going to be highly exacerbated if you go into being an influencer. I myself have had to deal with this just in being an artist and a creative, literally right now, knowing that people will either be turning this off, shutting it off, unsubscribing to my YouTube, unsubscribing from my Facebook, unsubscribing from my emails every day. Rejection, 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 rejection. I'm learning to make my peace with that. But the pressure on an influencer, again, because brands and all these other things are so heightened, it is super cooked, that you really, really have to ask yourself, is this worth it? And I think that the people who are doing this, they're finding out. I want to quickly bring up this comment. Lenora, you're right on it today, my sister. Lenora says, absolutely, the pressure to maintain and sustain is inhumane. So social media is a realm based outside of actual day-to-day reality. Can we please put that on a poster and put it on I-95? Can we? Will you allow us, my sister, to put that up there, my singing sister? Because, Lord, you just spoke truth there. The pressure to maintain and sustain is inhumane when it comes to social media. It's literally a place that we were not built to exist. I've heard people say this. I'm going to go off the tangent, guys. I apologize. I said I was going to do this presentation style, but now we're in a conversation, so whatever. I heard somebody say that we consume more information on our phones in a day than people in the last 100 years consumed in a lifetime. You get more information by scrolling Instagram for 30 minutes than some people got their entire adult lives because they were simply out working, living, whatever. Read the newspaper, done, right? Newspaper, there's the news. I don't know anything else except what my friends tell me. That's it. Now we have access to the entire world's information. Now put this on an influencer where your job is to be the dispenser of that and make people think of something different than they're thinking and make them buy something that they don't want to buy. Again, do we have to do this as salespeople, as people who create, as people who need to market? Yes, but it's not our entire livelihood. So I am absolutely 100% on this. Donnie over on Instagram says, so can an artist use an influencer as a way to promote his art? That is super interesting. Okay, I want to, can I copy it? No, I can't copy it. I hate the fact that I can't put Instagram comments up there. So Donnie says, can an artist use an influencer as a way? Yes, the quick answer is yes, right? Like clearly they're able to say, hey, if an influencer loves a piece of art, yes, I think that could be like an interesting marriage where they could actually help each other. I just wonder how, again, like, is the artist how are you gonna work out that payment thing? Is it a brand deal? Like, it's kind of weird, but my first quick answer is yes, but just off the top of my head. And it would be a very interesting thing to see how that partnership would work. And then the other side I would say is very concerning is what does the influencer expect from the artist? Because then if the artist becomes like, you get to crank out this, crank out that, crank out that. Like now it's become where it's a machine again, right? So that's a very interesting comment though. I love the idea of just, hey, maybe these worlds can help each other. Okay, let's go on to number 6. And this is a big one, obviously for God and gigs. If you are an influencer, you are also an artist, especially a Christian faith-focused artist, you have the risk of compromising your values. And it goes without saying that if you are in line with brand deals, with companies, with all the things, and especially the value of humility, it is very hard to be an influencer without compromising your values because you are simply, number one, beholden to a company, the brand values that they have, and if they change, now you're connected to that brand. This happens to everybody, by the way, but we just have to be very super careful. And then the second half of this is whether or not your own value as a person is compromised because you become the person that you feel you have to say the right thing, do the right thing. Kind of goes back to that perfectionism thing, right? That is what we were trying to avoid, is being something we're not. And to be an influencer, I think oftentimes calls on you to be something that you're not, or at least present something to the point that you're not honestly being who you are, that because the influencing requires you to show this persona, and that can compromise your values. Thank you so much, Lenora. She says this is a very necessary discourse. Thank you so much. I appreciate that because I was really worried about, again, whether this really made sense to people as our artist community. Is this something that's affecting us? But when Sandra said it from 90 Day Wins, when she said it, and then I thought it, I was like, okay, there's 2 of us at least that are concerned about this. By the way, this is a total aside. If you like these slides, I made these slides on beautiful.ai in like 20 minutes. This is just a backdoor behind the scenes thing. Y'all, I don't do PowerPoint. These slides are gorgeous and I'm loving them right now. And yes, they were made on beautiful AI in about And by the way, the AI is not really AI. It does have AI, but I did these personally. I'm very happy with them. So anyway, so number 7, last but not least, the reason why you should not be an influencer if you are an artist is because it distracts you from your art. This is so key to why I think social media and being an influencer and all those things make it so hard for us to see where we sit in terms of the marketing of our art. I'm spending so much time thinking about how I can market my creative life, my music, that sometimes I forget to write. I forget like, hey, I got to get off the computer, stop trying to do Facebook ads and just go write a song. It's already hard as a creative to focus on the art and the stuff that I want to make. It's already hard. Now add to that, now you want to be an influencer. Now you want to spend more time focusing on the audience, on the brand deal, on the partnership deal, on all those things. I think that's a huge distraction from what God put you here to do. Now, again, do you have to do the things like market, brand deal, focus on the audience, your email marketing, things that I talk about, again, the second half of gigs, right? The gig part. The gig is all of the things that go along with creating your music, creating your art, creating your drama, creating your poetry, creating your coaching program, your consulting program. All of those things, yes, that all goes with marketing. It goes with being in business. We're okay with that. What we're not okay with is adding excess distraction. And being an influencer is 100% a distraction from being an artist. I will stand on that one. I'm going to take that and plant my flag there. You cannot fully be an artist and fully be an influencer. One or the other. It's like when God says you cannot serve both God and mammon. You cannot serve both artistry and influencing. You can't. One is going to win. You're going to want to be an influencer more than you want to be an artist, or you're going to want to be an artist more than you want to be an influencer. Those two will not coexist, all right? And so I'm going to end my little presentation, my slides this week, with this quote, which I think really kind of points out what the distinction is. Marc Chagall said, "If I create from the heart, nearly everything works. If from the head, almost nothing." And I think influencing, again, you can be super creative as an influencer. I'm sure you can. But let's just be honest. As an influencer, you're creating from the head. You're thinking, what will move people? What will make them buy? What will influence them? Why would they follow me? What can I do to increase my marketing? What can I do to increase my brand? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? All from the head. Art, let's just say as my devotional, your art, God's heart. Okay? It comes from the heart. I saw another quote that I really loved. I didn't post this one, but it said, if the art does not start from the heart, I want nothing to do with it. I think that it was Van Gogh or Picasso or someone like that. So, my friends, I hope this made sense. The 7 reasons why you should not be an influencer if you're an artist. We'll go through them quickly if I can remember all 7 without going through the slides. First one was that they have 2 totally different goals, 2 totally different ideas, okay? The second, you're beholden to the algorithms once you join the social media world. The third one, that you have to know that your audience is loyal to the content, not necessarily to you. Okay, actually, I'm going to go back to make sure I remember number 4 because I think that was 3. We're going to go back. 3 was the audience is loyal to the content and not the influencer. 4 is all about the business and the commercial partnerships. 5 is your effect on your mental health, that it can really devastate that. 6, we just talked about, risk of compromising your values. And 7, it distracts you from your art. My friend, thank you for watching this episode. If that blessed you, you got to make sure that you stay connected with this community and this channel so that you can get more where that came from. We're sharing great interviews, tactics, strategies, mindsets, lifestyle choices, everything that's going to help you become a totally confident creative. And don't miss an episode of the God and Gig Show. If you are staying connected to our channel, you'll be able to find us anytime we release new episodes. And you can check out some of our archives of almost 200 episodes now that we've shared over the last few years. Make sure you check out one of the suggestions right now because it's probably perfect for you to continue to develop as a creative. And continue to stay connected with us because we're here to help you become the creative that God created you to be. We'll see you in the next episode.